This year marks 25 years since the Breast Cancer Research Foundation began with the goal of ending breast cancer.
And now BCRF is the largest private funder of breast cancer research worldwide. And joining us to talk about where that research stands and what comes next is Dr. Judy Garber, who's the co-scientific director of BCRF and the chief of the Division of Cancer Genetics and Prevention at Dana Farber Cancer Institute. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
You know, BCRF was founded in the early 90s, and when you think about 25 years ago, what a different landscape it was for people as soon as they got a breast cancer diagnosis. How different is it now than it was then?
Oh, it's tremendously different. We used to think about breast cancer as one disease. Now we know that it is not one disease at all. It has a hormonally driven subtype and subtypes that are exploited for their molecular biology. We have targeted therapies that have completely changed the way breast cancer is treated and how successfully we can treat breast cancer. And we've learned a lot about ways to minimize surgery or sometimes to maximize surgery, depending what people need. We didn't have cancer genes. In the early 1990s, we didn't know who was at risk in the same way.
The BRCA gene.
The BRCA genes. And we didn't have preventive medications like tamoxifen. We've had a transformation of the field in 25 years.
And the BCRF has done a lot to move us in that way with all the money that has been raised. We have one statistic here. This year alone, $63 million in research to 300 scientists in 14 countries. So what are some of the promising leads in both prevention and then treatment that we have seen and that are kind of at the cutting edge right now?
So I'd say the most promising leads have been in treatment, or at least at the moment. Immunotherapy, which has found its way to change completely the treatment of melanoma and lung cancer, also is finding its way in breast cancer. So patients today may get an immune therapy. We have drugs that have made hormonal treatments much more potent. We call them CDK4/6 inhibitors, which are actually advertised on television that way, which is kind of odd, but at least there are drugs you can take to make your hormonal treatment stronger. We are working on ways and have made progress in ways to monitor breast cancer with blood tests instead of with images. Not yet ready for early diagnosis or early detection, but very much a part of looking for disease monitoring over time, trying to reduce the number of x-rays one needs. So I would say those are maybe the most exciting, but you know, when you have 300 researchers working full-time on breast cancer, who knows what can happen.
There are bound to be breakthroughs, and it is such a difficult question to answer because there are so many factors, but 1 in 8 women still in this country will develop breast cancer at some point in her lifetime. Are we any closer to a cure?
Oh, I think we are. Yes, we cure patients every day. Now, partly that's because we have learned that some tumors are more easily cured, and we try not to overtreat them. So less chemotherapy. We have ways of analyzing the tumor so we can avoid chemotherapy, but still cure patients. We don't cure every patient, but patients who are HER2 positive, that subset of patients we cure. I mean, that was the worst, most aggressive breast cancer, and today those patients are cured most of the time. We do cure breast cancer, but we haven't figured out how to prevent it on much of a scale yet. And we're not finished. We have patients die every day from breast cancer. So BCRF will be here making sure that that will be the end of breast cancer when we can stop that.
So much of prevention really is screening, and there are some conflicting studies right now about how early and how often women should be screened. What's your take on that?
I think we are coming to a time when we can target screening just like we target treatment. So when we can effectively stratify people by risk. So low-risk women won't have to have so many mammograms, can start at 50 and every other year may be just fine or even less. But high-risk women need mammograms, maybe breast MRIs, studies more often, maybe other ways. When we can really do that better, and I think we are actually much closer to that too than we were, but when we can do that better, that will help. The other thing people are doing is adding artificial intelligence to the interpretation of mammograms. You know, we have MIT here, and those brains are going to try to improve the way that radiologists detect cancers.
Amazing.
So I think we can do smarter screening.
And we should put in a little plug about how fundraising remains the key for BCRF. And here in Boston, the Hot Pink Party is coming up on April 23rd. And by the way, that will be honoring Patriots head coach Bill Belichick and Linda Holiday this year. But BCRF always points out that the money that's raised, for instance, in Boston at this event, will stay with the researchers in Boston.
So fortunately for us in Boston, we have so many wonderful researchers that the Boston money stays and other money comes to Boston as well. We are dedicated to making a difference.
That's great. And I'm happy to be emceeing that event that night. And we have all the information about how people can get tickets and how they can come on cbsboston.com. So all that information is there.
Dr. Judy Garber, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the work that you do helping women.
Well, thank you both very much for highlighting breast cancer research.
Makes such a difference. Thank you so much.